Sometimes life catches us off guard, and the result is a show of hilarious, unbelievable, and completely idiotic moments. Whether it is a plan that went wrong, a classic slip-up, or that brilliant idea that ended up being a disaster, many scenes go viral on the internet. These are the moments you will watch today. A father ended up having an idea, let us say, not a very good one, of taking his daughter's stuffed toy, hanging it from his drone to fly around the place where they were, and the result was not the best. His daughter was watching everything and seemed to be having fun with the situation. The father then attaches the stuffed toy to the bottom of the drone, takes off, and everything seemed fine. Until, at a certain moment, with the drone already up in the air, it is possible to see the stuffed toy coming loose and falling, to the despair of not only the daughter, but also the father, who could do nothing but watch from afar as his daughter's favorite toy slipped away. In the background of the recording, you can hear the girl's desperate screams while her toy was falling. I really would not want to be in that father's shoes. Most likely, since it was something very light and was way up high where the winds are stronger, a gust must have loosened it from the drone, making it fall far away. Maybe, with a bit of luck, they could try to go after it to find the toy on the ground. A van was parked at the entrance of a house's garage where a man was unloading his belongings when suddenly it started moving on its own, rolled down the ramp, and caused quite a mess. In the footage, we see the man in the back of the van, among numerous pieces of furniture, objects, and appliances that were about to be unloaded. Everything seemed calm and without any problem, but for some reason, maybe the parking brake was not properly engaged, the van began rolling down the garage ramp with the man still inside. And, of course, feeling desperate, he could do nothing but wait for the vehicle to stop on its own. And that is exactly what happened. When it reached the end of the garage, the walls cornered it, making the van come to a sudden halt, and so all the belongings, along with the man, were thrown out of the back in one go. Apparently, even after being tossed out of the van and getting hit by some of the items, the man did not suffer serious injuries and was fine, though the scare was certainly huge. A very unusual scene filmed by a river went viral on the internet for showing a disastrous moment in which a pickup truck was trying to tow a boat out of the water, and the result was not exactly as expected. In the footage, recorded by someone who was there and seemed to already suspect the scene could be a huge blunder, we can see the pickup truck pulling the boat out of the river, while a man who was on the front part of the boat was trying to hold onto the pickup to keep the boat close and make the removal easier. However, with the massive force of the pickup's acceleration, the man holding onto its bed got pulled and fell right on the metal shaft that was part of the trailer carrying the boat. The pain must have been really strong, and as if that were not enough, the driver kept accelerating, causing the boat to detach from the trailer and drop onto the ground right there by the water. The scene is a complete mess that was filmed and shared on social media. And as expected, that moment went viral everywhere, becoming a huge meme. The ink expelled by squids is a fascinating and adaptive substance, used mainly as a defense mechanism against predators. It is stored in an organ called the ink sac, located near the squid's digestive system. When threatened, the squid shoots out this ink in a jet. The ink is mostly made of melanin, mucus, and other chemical compounds. This mixture makes the ink thick and resistant. In a video circulating on the internet, we can see a fisherman who uses the ink to smear on his arms and show how powerful and resistant that liquid is, being very hard to wash off right away.
Just to give you an idea how strong the squid ink is.
There have even been a few accidents in restaurants that serve these animals, in which, since they are still quite fresh, they end up shooting the liquid when served, hitting servers and customers who are forced to stay stained by the ink, as it does not come off easily. One video that went viral on the internet shows a moment like that, where a group of friends at a table ended up with their faces completely black from the ink that was expelled. The presence of melanin and the viscosity caused by the mucus make the ink highly adhesive, especially on porous surfaces or fabrics. This explains why, upon contact with the ink, it can be very difficult to remove it completely. Security camera footage from the drive-thru of a coffee shop shows a heated argument between a customer and a worker. In the images, we can see the customer standing outside his car, waiting for his cup of coffee. But upon receiving his order from the worker, irritated for some reason, he throws the entire cup of coffee and the cup of ice that had come with it toward her. Well, if he thought she would just stand by, he was wrong, because she grabs a hammer, and right before the man drives off, she smashes his windshield with one blow, damaging it right away. Do not ask me why the worker had a hammer handy, because I I have no idea either. The woman acts very quickly and catches the man by surprise. According to some reports, he was angry about the wait time for his order, which certainly does not justify his action. In the end, he got the worst of it and ended up with a hefty repair bill. Security camera footage from a courtroom shows the moment when two female officers are talking, and a woman who is sitting a bit farther back tries to take advantage of their distraction to attack one of them, attempting to steal the gun on her waist. Noticing the officers were distracted, talking in a place that apparently was calm, the woman sitting right behind them, in the seats designated for courthouse users, suddenly stood up and attacked one of them, reaching for her waist, apparently to steal the weapon there. Fortunately, the officer reacted quickly, turned around, and fought back with help from her fellow officer. Soon, more agents arrived and managed to subdue the perpetrator, who was arrested. Since the attacker was a large, strong woman, the officer had a lot of trouble breaking free. But with help from her colleagues who were also there, everything turned out fine. It is not very clear what motivated the attacker to do that. Thankfully, she did not succeed, as the outcome could have been tragic. A man who was supposed to take part in an online court hearing had a bizarre moment when he showed up on video for the session while driving. No, I am not kidding. He did it precisely in a hearing in which he was being charged for driving with a suspended license. Still in disbelief at what he was seeing, the judge asked him about the situation, and the man tried to explain, saying he had to go to the doctor and was just arriving at the office. Obviously, nothing could justify that, since he was already being tried exactly because he had been caught driving with a suspended license. And on the day of the hearing, he shows up on a video call driving again, without even trying to hide it. Annoyed, the judge suspended the hearing and ordered the man to turn himself in to the police that same day.
Are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. Just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
The hearing, which was being broadcast, quickly went viral because of the defendant's total lack of sense, who simply ignored the whole legal chaos he was in, creating a scene that becomes funny by how absurd it is. The beloved and memorable Boom channel on the internet starred in one of the best pranks ever made online, with the famous elevator diarrhea gag. In the prank, Thiago Fonseca, the channel's owner, would enter an elevator that ordinary people were already using, and once inside, he pretended he was feeling sick with stomach pains. His acting was very convincing, holding his stomach, kneeling, and complaining, which made people concerned, until, at a certain point, acting like he could not hold it any longer, he pretended to pass gas and sprayed a smelly liquid toward the victims, who believed it was feces. No need to say that people's reaction is something very funny and genuine, making the prank super entertaining. Seeing themselves covered in what they thought was feces, people would freak out and even scream. However, as we know, these were not real feces, but rather a liquid with a strong smell that imitated them very well. A motorcyclist decided to stop at a gas station to not only fill up his bike, but also try to clean his visor with a squeegee, and the result was definitely not what he expected. He takes the squeegee that sits in a bucket of soapy water, provided for cleaning car windshields, and aims it at his closed visor. But when he scrubs too hard, he causes the visor to open, and consequently, the soapy squeegee goes right into his face, leaving him completely soaked, not to mention the soap that probably got into his eyes. It is a pretty funny scene, and what was supposed to be something simple ends up not working out. According to reports, he had to remove his helmet, rinse his eyes, and wait a bit to recover before continuing his trip. A man was in a snowy place, the habitat of species like coyotes, when he happened to spot one approaching. But when he tried to mess with the animal, he realized that was not the best choice. Upon seeing the coyote getting closer to where he was, which appeared to be some sort of parking lot, the man started calling the animal, as if it were a harmless little dog. He extends his hand, kneels, and calls the coyote, which cautiously approaches bit by bit, until all of a sudden the animal, feeling wary, bites the man's hand. Of course, he gets scared and pulls back, also startling the coyote, which runs away.
Got a lot of fur though. Ow! Ow!
Even though it might resemble a dog or a harmless animal, coyotes are wild creatures that will certainly act on instinct if they feel threatened, as happened here. Therefore, the recommended approach is always to keep your distance. Two women decided to go down a water slide at a seemingly abandoned park, but it looks like they did not notice that at the bottom of the slide there was no water anymore, and they ended up paying the price for that. In footage recorded by someone who was already at the bottom of the slide, we can see the two of them coming full speed ahead, and when they see that there is no water at the end, they freak out. However, it was too late, and with no way to brake, they collide against the dirt ground with a hard impact. The scene gets even crazier because a dog that was next to the slide suddenly decides to jump in and slide down with the women upon seeing them pass by. Their fall is pretty rough, and they take quite a tumble on the ground, but it is not clear how severe the situation was. Apparently, it was just a big scare. A man, determined to show his wife that he still had enough agility to leap over a fence, allowed her to record the attempt, and the result was a disaster. In the footage, the husband appears confident next to his wife, saying he will do it with ease. He then starts running toward the fence and, as he approaches, jumps in an awkward way, trips, and falls on the other side like a sack of potatoes. It is a very embarrassing scene, and of course, his wife bursts out laughing. He only proved that his wife was right and that time had indeed taken its toll on him. Now, his mobility just is not the same as it used to be. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.